Hi, this is Sue Greenwald with Awaken Stories. I'm here today again with Deanna Carr from the Mystical Moonlight. Hey, Deanna, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. So today is Q&A day. We're going to just try to tidy up some of the questions from our previous videos, and we've gotten some new and unique questions. We're going to just go through those. I'll provide an index in the description so you can see what we're going to talk about, okay?
Oh, cool.
Okay, first topic, we did a video on Amelia Earhart, okay?
hmm
And, basically the story is she went through a portal and landed on another planet, which is so interesting, isn't it? So the question I've received from a viewer is, was she a spy in any way, knowingly or unknowingly?
No, okay. So when she was like learning to fly, she was not a spy. Um, Later on, it looks like they were trying to use her airplane as a cargo point. They're trying to bring stuff over without her knowing in that sense. Spying wise, not really. So I don't know if you would consider that. Later on, she was kind of a mix of a spy when she was at this other planet because she would come back and forth and kind of use, new technology and advancements that she learned here, there, and kind of use it to their advancement.
So basically, she helped the people on the other planet grow and expand and
Yes.
yeah. Okay, now you said she was able to like kind of change her appearance. She had that ability.
hmm
Okay. So she'll be coming back to the Earth and she'll announce who she is in some fashion in the
Yeah.
future.
hmm
Wow. Isn't that the coolest? Isn't that the coolest? Yeah.
And it
Now
would be
these
cool to change your appearance too. We need to learn
Yeah.
how to do that.
Well, that's pretty cool too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know that there are people out there now that will be coming forward soon
hmm
that have been doing that. And of course, people don't understand, so it's
Yeah.
very interesting, I think.
hmm
Yeah. So you said they try to smuggle something into her plane without her knowledge, like
Yeah.
information, like a document.
I guess you could consider it information. I don't see it being, something that's going to hurt anybody, but like on a large scale of like, let's say bomb, that kind of thing, weaponry. I don't see it being any of that. So I am assuming that it was some sort of documentation, something that was easily snuck onto the plane. So if somebody was, cleaning the plane, they could find it, whereas she would not see it.
Okay, cool. All right. Now, the humanoids on the other planet where she's at now, she's learned
Mhm.
their language, like maybe they're telepathic or whatever.
Yeah,
Or and like what color are they?
they're like a pale blue.
Ooh. And so
Yeah.
they have like oxygen that she can breathe.
Yeah, it's much like Earth. There's actually a lot of planets that are Earth-like, with oxygen, able to breathe it. We're just not really told about them because wouldn't you probably want to leave? Um, so so
Yeah, yeah.
she's there, she's able to breathe, she's helping them well, she already helped them advance. They're actually a pretty advanced system right now.
Okay.
She's able to alter the DNA because they spend time learning how to control their energy in their bodies.
Okay.
Mhm.
Interesting. Based on what we just talked about, any other questions I should ask about Amelia Earhart?
Not that I can think of. It's always best if people ask the questions. I think that
Yeah.
sums it up, but I'm sure something will come up that we missed.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, let's go on to the next video that we did called Charles Lindbergh. Okay, so again, he was famous for flying the across the Atlantic Ocean. He went to Paris. Everyone like flipped up. They were super excited at that point.
hmm
And another highlight in his life, a negative highlight, was his child was kidnapped and murdered. And basically, he said he was switched out mid-flight and that the child was part clone.
Yes.
All right, so was there any, have there been other clone babies, if you will, hybrid kind of clone babies born after that time?
No. Every every everything clone wise, they're keeping a high connection with.
High
Um,
level of security with, right? They're not.
Security control, whatever you want to call it. Um, yeah, so I don't see one being born. If it was exterminated.
Okay. Interesting. So you said that the clone baby that was murdered back then,
Hmm.
was it 1932 or whatever it was,
Hmm.
that it had special abilities.
Yes.
Okay. It could change its appearance
Yeah,
and
so pretty much it would have a lot of abilities because it was a clone, and then it would start to raise concern because when it's younger, it's kind of like a baby in itself where it doesn't understand what's going on. It still has to go through a process. So
right,
it'd be easy
right.
to slip up and make a mistake. So people were concerned about it getting out and leaking that
Okay.
this person's not that person.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. So, to your knowledge, there's never been another clone baby that's survived that you
Yes.
know of. Okay.
Yes.
Now, I guess that would be the question that most people are curious about at this point.
Hmm.
So, when the baby was kidnapped, the clone Charles Lindbergh was upset. Like he did not know he was a clone, so he was truly upset.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
It's
Int-
hard because the clones they program them so that way they feel like a human, they have the emotions. They don't really understand that they're not a clone. It's kind of like in Jurassic Park where she finds out she's a clone and she's kind of like distraught by it. She didn't understand the concept of not being the real thing,
Right.
but having emotions and being like a human in a sense, but not being a human. So it's a very complex feeling. Um, so he did not know.
Okay.
And so when the baby, disappeared, it was very distraughtful for
Yeah.
him.
Okay. Interesting. So
Mhm.
interesting, isn't it? Okay. All right. Next topic. After that, we did a Jack the Ripper video. All right.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's interesting because we did that video, and like that evening, I started reading a new book, and guess what? It had a story about Jack the Ripper in it. I thought that was just coincidental, you know?
Yeah.
So, okay. So the question is, was Jack the Ripper, you said he was like in law enforcement. Was he a police officer? Was he a detective? Like, what was his capacity?
He was up there. So I would probably say like more of a detective.
Okay.
He was not an underling.
Okay. So he was probably like in the Scotland Yard or something, right? The
Hmm.
detective guys. Okay.
Yeah.
Did anyone ever find out it was him?
No, nobody found out.
Ever? Okay.
Mm-mm.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was good about hiding. He just was getting sloppy.
Yeah, because he was like desperate at the end, I would assume.
Yes.
Okay. Question, was he a Freemason?
No.
Okay. And he had technology then to basically change his appearance. Is that true?
Yeah, he had technology to help with that. There's something else that he had. I don't know if it was, he understood the concepts of, changing appearances himself, but he definitely had technology to help him.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Now, just do you have any idea of the guy's name? Just
No.
all right. Just want to,
That they will not give me.
okay. So interesting though, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, now this is a question from a viewer, okay, that I'm going to mispronounce the name, but after I got the question, I looked it up briefly. But in 1986, there was, all right, so I'm just going to read it. Swedish Prime Minister Olaf Palme, Palme, was murdered, shot in 1986. Was that him that really died? And did he really die?
No, he did not. It was somebody else in place. It looked like he had knowledge beforehand that that was going to happen and switched out. Um, it looks like it was a setup and he went into hiding afterwards.
Okay. So is he still alive here? Well, it was pretty long ago, 1986, but is he still alive here?
I see him still being alive, yeah.
Okay. So he's in hiding still.
Yes.
Wow, interesting. Is he
Mhm.
just a regular human?
No.
Ooh. So what does that mean?
It looks like he has more abilities than a regular human does. Um, I don't know how. It looks like he has a mix of something. How did he get that? It looks like he was part of um, a series of experimental testing. And so part of it was he gained some, they're not telling what it was, but he gained something out of it.
Oh,
So he's not considered a base human.
interesting, right? I wouldn't have
Hmm.
guessed that.
Yeah.
And I, of course, I don't know the story, so but
I've never heard of it, so I don't know.
so, yeah, I don't know the story, and of course, from what I understand, this is a big Swedish like controversy or whatever. So whoever
Okay.
asked the question, there you go.
Yeah.
More mystery, right? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this was another question I got, and this one I was very interested in once I looked it up. So I'm going to kind of read it because I'm going to mess it up. But the question is, what happened in 1959 to the young Russian hikers on, okay, Dyatlov Pass? Okay. It's in the Ural Mountains. Okay, so I'm going to spell Dyatlov. Dyatlov. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that. So basically, 9 experienced hikers died. So what happened is they were all in their tents snoozing, and they all like ran out of the tents in the middle of the night. I think I'm going to say there were like 6 that died from hypothermia, but the rest died under unusual circumstances. Their skulls were crushed in, like their clothes were ripped off, all sorts of crazy stuff. So this was 1959 in Dyatlov Pass. Sorry about the pronunciation.
Okay, so what I'm getting is it looks like there's actually a military base nearby, and that's what happened.
Oh,
They got too close to, I'm going to say the military base. I don't know what they had going on there, but something happened. It looks like they ended up searching a little too far, getting off the path. They found it. They kind of pretended like, hey, we didn't see anything. Went back to their tent because it's obviously a long journey, right? Um, and it looks like in the middle of the night, that's when they came. That's why most of them probably didn't have their clothes on, is what I'm getting. They're not prepared correctly. That's why they ran out of their tent, or I assume that was a tent. I don't know. Um, they ran out. What are we getting? Okay, so they ran out. Two of them got in. No, one of them got into an altercation with the military enforcement, started getting beat upon. Then they went to the next person and pretty much got most of them like taken out. So if they even tried to, find help, that they were kind of not going to make it, which is what ended up happening. For the ones that just died of hypothermia, they were actually like put to sleep. Like they had some sort of chemical to force them to sleep so they couldn't find, help or get further down the path. So that's why they were all found together.
okay. Okay. And since it was such a like a cover up or whatever, an operation, they could
Mhm.
use any story they wanted to cover up what really happened.
Oh, of course. Plus, I mean, middle of the cold. Nobody's really out there. You're on a barren trail pretty much. So
Wow.
they could say whatever they wanted because there were no survivors.
Wow. Okay.
Mhm.
So somebody had asked that question, and again, I was like, whatever. Because I guess
Yeah.
it's because it's not here. It's not
Yeah.
about me. But
Well, that is the interesting thing is like, most of the stuff we talk about is, what we're taught here in America.
yeah,
And we never think like, hey, there's actually conspiracies around the world that we probably don't even know about or have heard of.
yeah.
So it is interesting getting into these, topics from other countries because I've never heard of them. Like we don't get taught that in history
Yeah.
class, that kind of thing. So it is interesting.
We have a lifetime of conspiracy here in the USA, so
Yeah, we won't go bored on this channel.
we're not going to get bored here. But yeah, conspiracy and corruption and the elite rule, let's call it that, is all over the world. It's not just an American thing. So, wow.
Yeah.
So that is a cool question, though.
Yeah.
Because when I looked it up, I'm like, ooh, there's something more there, I bet you. All right, now
Hmm.
another like stump the panel question from a viewer. What's happening at Blind Frog Ranch, Utah?
Oh, ooh, you got a lot going on
Okay.
there. Okay, so yet again, people, if there is a place with a ranch in the name, don't go there. The ranch is something of.
Don't do it.
Yeah, so I'm seeing a high vibration and negativity. It looks more on the demonic level, high radius. It looks like it's affecting a large amount of not only people, but it's also affecting animals. It looks like animals are trying to get out of the area. Um, it's weird. I've never heard of this place either. Um, what else? Animals are affected. There's only a few things that can alter the vibrational pattern. Um, it is going to turn into like kind of like the Skinwalker Ranch
Okay.
in essence. It might not be as high negative vibrational pattern, but it's pretty high.
Okay.
It does look like there are some artifacts out there that were disturbed not too long ago. Um, and these artifacts weren't necessarily something that people would consider an artifact. These were like normal things. And even some that were very base, like I'm seeing a rock, like a weird looking rock, that somebody decided to disturb and that ended up bringing out energies. Because you have to remember, some of these artifacts, they didn't have stuff like we have today. So they used artifacts that were interesting to them at the time. So that rock was a symbolization of what they had to, ward off people. Whereas for us, like, "Ooh, that's interesting. What is this?"
Okay. All right. So a lot of demonic and like just very dark energy there. Don't go
Yeah.
there. Okay.
Yes.
Wow, cool. And again, I've
Mm.
never heard of that place either. When I looked it up, it looks like they're doing some sort of a TV show there. And I didn't have the time to really look at to see what kind of a show it was. But
They're probably trying to get like information from the place, show it off for
yeah,
the views.
yeah. And of course, they probably funded in some way.
They're funded, but here's the thing about these types of shows. Yes, they are interesting to watch. Um, but the people that go into the situations don't always know what they're walking into.
Yeah.
And I've seen that, like I said before, I like to watch Ghost Adventures, but some of the stuff they say is just you're setting yourself up for a lifetime of like pain at this point. So
Yeah.
sometimes they go in and do stuff that they really shouldn't because they don't know what they're dealing with and they don't have that intuition and insight to actually deal with it because you do have to be a high level.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say intuitive. You have to be a high level vibrational pattern to even come close to that type of energy.
Right. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, like on one hand, we'd say, oh, they're really bold explorers. They're going into the unknown.
Hmm.
But like I guess you have to tune into the energy of an area and say, not worth it, not worth
Yep.
it.
Yep. You have to know the limits, and most of the time they don't.
Yeah. And like again, these are ghost adventure guys, they're idiots and they're doing it for money. So
Yeah.
I watched part of an episode and I was like screaming at the TV the whole time. And they're ridiculously stupid. Okay, that's
Oh,
all I
they
got.
are. So we watch it, and what is it? Alan's like, he's worth $30 million. What?
Yeah.
So it's people watch it, but it is, and I'm one of them. But yeah, it's
So
you watch
good.
this stuff, and you are like so many questions,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's still the same thing with this ranch. Like, yeah, somebody's gonna go there, make a video of it, say how cool it is. Don't be stupid and go there.
yeah,
You might think like, hey, I have high vibrational frequency, but you don't really know what you're dealing with until you get into the situation. And usually that's too late. So you already have attachments, attacks, and they're not the type to just let go. It's not like, hey, I'm just gonna go home and I'll be good. They will stay with you.
yeah, yeah. So this is advanced stuff.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. You've
Yeah.
hit all these great questions so far. Okay.
Awesome.
Pyramids is the new topic. What is the purpose of the Sphinx in Egypt in front of the pyramid?
Oh, I thought we covered this one.
Well,
All right.
right.
Well, we'll cover it again.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
so
kind of
it is
overlap it.
actually, yeah, it's actually a tunnel into the internal earth.
Okay.
So that's why there is a door, pretty up high on the Sphinx itself,
Yep.
and it is a way to get into it. They did develop it during that time frame, but that's why it's also closed down now, so people don't have access to it because they don't want you to know what's actually in the middle of the earth.
Yeah. They've tiled, like we already talked about this, they tiled it over or uh,
Hmm.
cement blocked it over. I actually saw them doing it. And
Yeah.
if you look now, there are online apps where you can go and look at the outside of the pyramids and the Sphinx.
Mhm.
They've got a big fence around there so you can't go up to it or anything. So,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Does China have the most pyramids?
No.
Okay. So we know there's pyramids all over the earth. Okay. A lot
Yeah.
of them need to be excavated. They're in Mexico, they're in the US, they're
Mhm.
everywhere. Okay. And people are just really discovering them. All right.
Yeah.
And there's some beautiful ones in China. I have seen them. Um, and so then the next question is what are the different kinds of pyramids and what their purpose are?
I mean, there's multiple purposes, but two of the main purposes is healing and then transportation.
Yeah.
Those are the two you got to worry about. Not worry about, but those were the two main ones.
Yeah.
Like the ones in Egypt were for transportation. Ones that you're gonna see like in Mexico, some of them were mostly for healing. It's all about I don't want to say the structure. It's about the internal structure,
Yeah.
and how they've layered it together and with what materials. Um, so yeah, the ones in Egypt are definitely more on that mechanic level where they do teleportation.
Okay. Yeah, and they've talked about the Russian pyramids, which have a steeper angle than, say, the
Mhm.
Egyptian style pyramid. And
Yeah.
they've done all sorts of tests and studies. They put seeds in there, they put food in there, they put children in there with issues, and
Mhm.
it creates like a healing vortex in the pyramid. So
Yeah.
there's healing energy in the pyramids,
Hmm.
right? So summary version, I mean, this is a huge topic of interest.
Yeah, it's a huge topic,
Yeah,
but those are the two main ones, and they can still be the same system, just built differently.
yeah. Okay. Cool. All right, thank you. So hopefully that answered their question. And we did a pyramid video. Well, it's on the channel a while ago. Okay.
It's somewhere there.
Yeah. Probably a few months ago. I don't actually remember when. All right, next topic, quick question, fairies. Do we have a fairy godmother?
Yeah, well, I don't want to call it godmother, but yeah, we all have fairy guides with us. We have usually about two to three.
Oh, cool.
I think that's what they're asking for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we might have even talked about this. I don't know. But we know
Uh,
that we have an entourage of, we'll call them angels,
hmm Yeah.
non-physical entities that are with us to help guide us or whatever.
Mm.
And then we also have, we'll call them fairies.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Usually you have kind of like one of a species. Sometimes it's two fairies. It tends to be at least two to three.
Yeah. Okay. So how could we use these fairies in our everyday life to help us in a positive fashion?
You can ask them for help for healing, for guiding you throughout the day. You can ask for them to use their magic to heal and also bring in light and love to your life. You can um well ask them not to mess with your stuff. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Um So yeah, you can pretty much ask them for anything. It's just kind of like talking to your angel guides. It's the
Yeah.
same thing, just on a fairy level.
Yeah. So basically, what I used to do way, way, way back then is I was afraid to waste anyone's time. Okay.
Hmm
God's time and angels' time. I don't want to waste time. So I would think things in my head like, oh, could I have this or that or, and then I got to the point where I was more confident I would say the request out loud. Okay.
hmm
Now I freaking talk to myself all the time. And I talk to God, I talk to the angels. It's like they have the time. They're there for us. Go ahead and ask the question,
Yeah,
voice your request.
yeah,
If you're in a crowd of people, you might want to keep it in your head, but around the house or whatever, in your car, go ahead and just talk, talk.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, if you ever ask, just make sure it's positive.
Yeah,
Because they will, it's part of your, like, you're giving your will for them to help you. So
yeah,
if you say it in negative, it will come back
right.
tenfold. But yeah, they want you to ask. That's the issue with us, is we are afraid of wasting time, because it is a valuable resource for us. And, having them help us, what else? I mean, they've been here for an eternity, so
Yeah, they
use them.
want to help us. That's their
Yeah.
job. That's part of their job is to help us
Yeah.
as well as the earth. So,
Yeah.
don't feel like you're wasting time. So you're going to feel a little awkward at first talking to an angel or a fairy or God or whoever you want to talk to.
Mm.
Just do it and you'll get
Yeah.
better at it. And then you'll even start laughing at yourself for being crazy. And it's fun.
Yeah.
Make it fun, right?
Yeah, but you'll see things start to shift when you start with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, cool. All right. Boop. Next topic. We're motoring through. We're almost done with today's list. Orbs. Okay, so
Yeah.
we've all seen orbs, like especially when we're taking pictures and all that. And
Mhm.
what are these orbs?
They are energy light forms. So, um, sometimes they are angels, they can be fairies, they can be in different formations. For me, when I see the orbs during the day,
Yeah,
usually they're fairies.
yeah,
And then when I see them towards the night, they are more angel. That's just how, not that I differentiate them,
yeah.
but you can feel the vibration and feel the difference within them.
Oh,
And you can also see the busyness. Fairies tend to have more of a chaotic pattern, whereas angels have a more swifter pattern with their movements.
okay, okay, interesting. Now I've taken pictures of orbs that look like they had things in them. Okay. Like I went to Sedona under Devil's Bridge and I just pointed my camera up. And then I expanded it when it was on my computer and it looked like it had even a face in there.
Yeah,
So,
sometimes you can get imagery from it because it's the orb is what we normally see, but there is a larger piece of energy. We're just seeing a small piece of it with that orb.
okay.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
not the whole thing. It's just how we see it.
Okay. So could we say that orbs are also spaceships?
Kind of. I mean, they're transporting an energy source, and
Okay. Okay.
and
Um,
I wouldn't say large scale. Like you can't fit like 20 people in it. But
Well,
yeah.
no. A lot of ships can expand. Like we think they're so small or so big, and then they expand when you walk in them. Like,
No, well, they do expand, but you're not going to see it in orb form.
okay, okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. I went on a retreat. Actually, I hosted a retreat in the in North Carolina at the Outer Banks years ago, and I had what I used to call the
Mhm.
magic camera, which is a little digital camera. And I was taking pictures of orbs, spaceships, all sorts of cool things, looking
Mhm.
up in the sky, out in the ocean, and all that. Well, I'm going click, click, click at random. And then I clicked and I looked at the screen and I was like, I'm going inside. Okay. So I thought the photo looked like Neptune. I swear. It was all orbs, but you could see eyes, nose, a crown, and the trident. I swear. I still have the photo somewhere. And if I can find it, I might attach it to this video.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was that?
Well, we just talked about orbs are energy sources for angels and fairies. We didn't talk about how you can also get, you know, you have your, let's say, I'm gonna call them the nymphs from the water. And we didn't talk about how they can look like orbs. So putting them all together, Trident can, he works with the water and the sources with the water. So combining them together, he came through them.
Yeah,
Does that
it's a
make sense?
cool picture. I'm gonna
Yeah,
look and see if I can find those, and if I can, I'll attach it to the end of this
yeah,
video, okay? Because
yeah.
I know I've got them, I just don't know where, because
Hmm.
that was a while ago. But it was quite shocking at the time. Like I was
Oh
really
yeah, I,
just,
I remember that.
yeah,
Yeah.
seeing the spaceships, seeing the orbs, and just having fun with it. So
Yeah.
I'll put some of them at the end if I can find them. Okay. One last question, and this is a big one, so it might be like the topic for another video. Different realms. Okay, so in one
Oh, that's
sentence or less, how many different realms are they, and can you define them?
no,
Okay,
there's a lot.
okay.
And
So,
realms, I mean, I can define like there's a lot of realms that lead to different realities, that lead to different energies, that lead to different people, but
yeah,
also people that are like us, that have the same energy source, that are basically like our clones, but on different reality and different realms. So it's complex. So that is definitely a whole topic in itself.
yeah,
And it's something that people have debated for a very long time.
yeah.
So it's definitely not something that you can answer in a sentence.
Okay, so that might be another whole video, but like here's some of the ideas the person asked of if
Right.
people that have passed on live in different realms, and
They do live in different realms in usually the same reality. So
ooh,
yeah. So this is where it gets complex.
yeah,
So right now we are in one realm.
yeah,
But there can be three realms right now around us. So there's different layers to it, even though we're still in this reality. And then you go to a different reality, there's different realms in that reality. So it gets more complex as you get into it because just think about it like when we talk about like the ghosts, they're not in our realm. That's how they kind of manipulate stuff. And they're able to move through our realm differently, but
all
they're
right,
in some sort of realm,
okay.
but they're in our reality because we're with them right now. Whereas, ourself in a different reality, they have, let's say, ghosts there, so they have different realms within that. So it's
Oh,
it's very complex. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I think we should do this separately, or you could do it on your own or whatever, because it is a very big, complex topic, and it is interesting to think about. But when I got the question, I'm like, oh, it's
Yeah.
infinite. I would say,
It's very interesting. I can do a video on it, but yeah, it's definitely not something you can answer in a
yeah,
sentence.
I would say the amount of realms is infinite and stuff we can't even imagine,
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna say that that's we'll get back to that one. We're gonna put a pin in
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
At this
Procreate.
moment, that is my list of questions for today.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We did
Thank,
it.
thank you so much. You know what I love is I've been bouncing around all these different topics and you've been able to pick up on every single one.
Yep. It's
So
fun. Just
exciting.
boom, boom, boom.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, Deanna. I appreciate your time.
Of course. See
All
ya.
right. Bye-bye.